Hey everybody, and welcome to another installment of How to Be a Great Freaking Hairdresser. Today what I'm going to do for you guys is another version of a diagonal forward haircut. Well, I know we did one in one length fashion for you already in our sessions, but we want to show you another technique or another approach on how to create this classic cut. What we're going to be doing for you is we're going to be doing a lot of intricate work right here in the nape area. I'm going to start off with a short point in the center, and we used to call this a star type of cut. And I'm going to create a short point in the center of this haircut, of course going to longer to create the diagonal forward design. So I'm going to get started with that, and then once we get that built in with the razor, we'll then move on to the rest of the cut. So what we're going to do here is we're going to take our section vertically, and I'm going to come into the haircut. And I chose a razor, one, to make sure I'm not a mono-tooled hairdresser, and two, is because I want the softness in this haircut, because it is a heavy haircut. We're going to bring this haircut straight out from that point, and we're going to create a short point here to a long point at the nape. So you could see we're going to keep that length right about there. Now I could always come in and adjust the length later on if I wanted to create whatever length in the nape area the individual wants. As you can see, my next section is going to be on an angle, and I'm going to now start bringing this in towards the center and following my guideline throughout. Continuing taking sections diagonally until I wind up to my next section, which will be up here. And as you can see, by bringing this down like this, I'm going to be shifting the hair back, and I'm going to be taking that hair off. Now, with the razor, I can adjust the length as much as I want here, and I want to make sure that before I continue in this haircut is that the length is correct for the individual. Where do I want to hit her on her face or below the chin? This is the last section on the left side here, and again, using a shifting technique, we are going to follow that guideline and continue with our razor cut in this fashion. And that is the beginning of our diagonal forward haircut. We're going to go in and now do the other side for you. Same type of sectioning on a diagonal, bringing the hair from the center, using that guideline in the center. Working from the top down, using that as our guide. Taking that off. Bringing the next section down. Checking our length as we go. Again, all of the sections coming from the center. Now bringing that section in and shifting it back towards the center. And that is the completion of the nape area in our diagonal forward haircut. Just got that one piece left. And that's the beginning of the haircut. Now what we're going to do is we're going to take the rest of this haircut coming down in a diagonal forward fashion, working with the diagonal forward, shifting the hair back to create the graduation. Going to complete one side first, and then we'll move on to the other side so you can get a visual of what we're creating. Again, shifting that hair back, making sure I'm using that guideline from underneath. You could see that we're actually bringing the hair down, low elevation, shifting that hair, taking that hair off. Make sure when you're working with a razor, you find that guideline, and again, bring the hands out past it and take that hair off. very steep design. When you work with a razor, there's no way of getting around creating graduation because you're cutting with tension on the hair. When I get above the ear area here, I'm going to then combine the two sections together. Working with a razor, we always want to make sure that the blade is at a 45-degree angle to where we're cutting. And again, continuing that design as low as I want to or as high as I want to, depending on the client's features. When you talk about doing a design that has one line going from the front to the back, you want to design the line to bring out that feature of that client that's appealing. In other words, I don't want to make this haircut go right to here if she's got terrible jowls. I don't want it to go to her lips if that's not the best feature of her. So we want to make sure that when we do that design, it's definitely something on a good feature on the face. The blade stays at a 45-degree angle to the hair strands as we work. We take that hair off. When I'm getting up towards the top here, I want to let the hair fall more naturally around the base. But again, shifting that hair back when it's going to be cut. And by shifting, creates distance, which creates length. So there you have one of the sides of our diagonal forward haircut. We're going to be softening up all this weight later on, but before I do that, I have to go in and cut the opposite side. So we're going to do that for you now. So what we're going to do for you guys is we're going to design our fringe area, and I'm just looking at my model and I'm just deciding which way we're going to go with this. You know, obviously a symmetrical fringe coming in this way could work, and we could bring that into our back haircut and things like that. Or we could just go in with a side sweeping bang, and I think for this session what we're going to do is we'll do a side sweeping bang for you and show you the results on that. And then what we'll do is we'll go in and actually adjust that bang to do a symmetrical bang, which I have an idea that I don't know if it will work, but I really don't care because she ain't gonna complain back at me because she's a dummy. And what I'll do is, if it don't work out, I'll tell you it doesn't work out. If it does work out, I'll be cool on video. Okay, so we're gonna do the side sweep and bang here. And I'm gonna just come over the center of the left eye. We're gonna razor that out. As you can see, I'm using a much longer stroke in this situation on this fringe, and that's because I really want to get a lot of texture in this hair front area, and that's by changing the stroke length that I do in my hair cutting. So when you do with a razor, what you can do is change, just by changing the length of the stroke, you are changing the texture you are creating in that haircut. So again, there's lots of different variables when you're talking about working with a razor. We're going to take that off. Angle of the razor is staying at that 45-degree angle to the hair strands, and again, working that in. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to come in and I'm going to blow dry this mannequin, and after that I'm going to just break up a little bit of this weight in the interior of the haircut, and we'll show you those in just a minute. All right, gang, so just got done blow drying our mannequin, and as you can see, she's quite thick through the back area here and got quite a bit of weight. Not a bad look for someone, but again, because of today's era and the fashion of today. Even though we're going with a 70s influence, which I just flicked in there a little bit in the front, I want to show you how we're going to go in with another tool, which is our thinning shears, and how I'm going to release all this weight through the interior of this haircut. What I'm going to tell you about a thinning shear is what you need to know is they sell these thinning shears based on the number of teeth per inch. For example, if you buy a thinning shear that is a 42 or let's say a 38, that means that per inch there are 38 teeth. Now, that would be a ton of teeth in 1 inch of blade. But the lower numbers mean the less teeth. The higher the number, the more teeth. And of course, the more teeth, the more hair is being released with every scissor stroke. So we're gonna go in with these thinning shears, and I'm going to bust this haircut up with thinning shears. You could actually do an entire haircut with thinning shears, which I've done in the past, which creates a very soft, of course, interesting look. So I'm gonna start in this haircut right down at the bottom area where I just feel it might be a little weighty where we actually did this. I'm gonna hit it a couple of times just in that nape area. And again, I didn't go in and adjust my length yet, so I would do that. But right here, I just feel it's a bit weighty. So I'm gonna just take a little bit of weight out of there. Trim it up on the bottom a little bit. And now what we're gonna do is we're gonna actually come into our haircut. We're gonna raise that up and we're gonna just start taking away that bulkiness of that weight line. And what I'm doing is I'm just picking up areas of the haircut and we're coming in and I'm using a curvature shape through here. And that's just gonna slowly release this weighted area so that we have a much lighter type of haircut. These mannequins are very heavy and have a lot of density to them. So just like wigs, we have to go in and really thin them out. Much lighter, as you can see on this side, just in those few strokes. And of course, the haircut is much heavier towards the front, so I might be taking more weight away there. This is going to get a double shot. We've done the bottom part, now we're going to do the top part. And that's going to just soften up that whole haircut. Just doing it visually right now, just seeing where we need to take the weight away. Make sure you don't go in too deep, too much, too quickly. Just checking the ends, seeing where it's falling, seeing where some weight could be taken out. And now you could see one side much different than the other side. So I'm gonna go in and do the other side here now. And then what I'm gonna do for you guys is I'm gonna try that experiment I talked to you about with a symmetrical fringe breaking into this haircut to see what we get. Hopefully it'll work out, but if you're ever gonna be a great freaking hairdresser, you gotta experiment. You gotta take what you learn at the hair shows, you gotta take what you're afraid of, put it into action, make the mistakes, learn from them, and move on. So don't ever be afraid of experimenting, because you're going to become a great freaking hairdresser by experimenting and finding out what works and what doesn't work. Okay, so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put a little product in my hand, and what this is this is a pliable type of paste. I wouldn't call this the sticky stuff. This is more pliable than the sticky stuff. And as you can see on the finished version of this haircut, after we're done with our thinning shear, that we've created a nice, soft, less weighty type of haircut. Now, what I'm gonna do is just use a little bit of this product to soften the haircut even more. Break it up a little bit, put the design into a finished fashion. Put a little wing there if I want. If not, I could just let it hang down. Soften this side up by piecing it out. And that's our finished look. Hope you guys enjoyed it. This is our diagonal forward using the shifting technique, shifting the hair back. One of the rules or the laws of hair cutting, which we've talked about in previous sessions, is shifting creates distance, which creates length. And of course, this haircut is a forward moving haircut, but we also incorporated in here short hair pushes and supports long hair, which is again another law of hair cutting, where we put a shorter area in the front to help keep this area back, or this haircut back, away from the face a little bit. Okay, so while I was doing the previous haircut for you guys and I was doing that diagonal forward shifted, I got inspired when I was gonna do the fringe area. I had a lot more hair to work with back then, but that's okay. We're gonna try and do something that's gonna be experimental and see if it works for us, and hopefully it will. If not, you're gonna see the results anyway, so here goes. I'm going to make you a symmetrical fringe, which is a concave, and I'm gonna be doing that with the razor. And then what I thought about when I saw this was, what if I do the fringe area to a certain length and then actually create a weight line that goes into the back of this haircut, leaving the rest of the length in that haircut. Again, I don't know if it's going to happen, but we're gonna try and we're gonna show you guys what happens. Better for me to turn this mannequin into a mess than you turning your customers into a mess. So here we go. We're going to just take out this fringe area, start with that as a symmetrical fringe, concave, and we're gonna go to corner of the eyebrow, corner of the eyebrow. And I'm gonna bring it up pretty high in the center. Of course, the center in a concave is the shortest point. So we're gonna do that as high as we can on a mannequin. Obviously, mannequins don't have growth patterns, so you could see that that tends to poke. So I have to keep a little bit of extra length. If it was a client, I might be able to take it a little bit higher. But the other thing I'm going to point out is what I'm going to be doing, and we call this razor slithering or razor etching. So the whole haircut you saw me earlier coming in from the side here at a 45-degree angle, where now what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be establishing my length and using my technique, where I'm going to be using it on the face of the cut itself. And again, when you talk about doing this, this is creating a different type of texture for us because we're attacking the haircut in a different way. We're going to then take this concave downward, so I'm going to bring this off to the side here, and we're going to again etch, but on an angle downward, using again the razor just on the face here, and we're going to see how this works out for us. So now I'm hitting her here, and that's about where I want to be, maybe a little bit more. Brings me to the corner of the eye, and what we're going to do is we're going to take it to the other side. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to etch this to the corner of her eye. And of course, making it concave, I have to do this on an angle. And let that fall to see where we're at. A few extra stragglers there. Corner of the eye, corner of the eye. And now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to go into this haircut, and I'm going to take this haircut, the entire section, and I'm going to now razor etch on an angle into the surface of this haircut, taking hair down and checking to see how much weight I'm keeping and how much weight I'm losing. Now again, remember we thinned this mannequin out quite a bit earlier with the thinning shears, so I might have had a lot more weight to play with earlier, but in this case we are going to just gently take weight away, take weight away, take weight away. So we're really changing the whole dynamic of this haircut by bringing this fringe into the interior of this cut. and you could see it starting to bulge out. Now the only danger here is how soft or how much hair will be left at the bottom when I'm done with this. We're going to continue this into the side area and then into the back behind the ear here. Just connecting it to our longest point right behind the ear. Okay, we're going to go in and do the other side for you and see what we have after we style it. Okay, and that's the technique. I'm going to blow dry this mannequin now. We're going to see what we get and see how that experiment worked out. Okay, so we did our experiment. As you can see for sure that we changed the actual shape of the entire design of this haircut. We broke it up. I didn't have to break it up too much more, but we definitely went in with a razor. We created a different feeling for the haircut, and even though it still has that bob feeling in it, we definitely created something different and something new. And I'm gonna dub this haircut the bowl bob. So that is the bowl bob because it reminds me of the old haircuts that the Three Stooges used to wear in the front there with the bowl shape in the front there. And again, the idea of the bob shape being in there still. So this haircut is for you guys, and it's called the bowl bob. And I hope you guys enjoyed our session. I hope it makes you a great freaking hairdresser. And as I said before, this is all going for the sake of hairdressing to make the industry better. Had a great time doing it for you. Hope you enjoyed.